Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen, wassalatu wassalamu ala Sayyid al-Anbiya wal Mursaleen. This is Mujeeb Kazi, and you're watching Washington Roundtable on Voice of Kashmir TV. For the last 2 years, we have seen tyranny, sufferings, human rights violation in state of Jammu and Kashmir. When India illegally revoked her Article 370 and 35A of its constitution, which was obviously challenged in Jammu and Kashmir Supreme Court, which was turned down because Kashmir is a disputed territory and it has to still abide by the right of self-determination given by the international community as well as United Nations. We have seen that India has not budged, but people around the world, particularly the Kashmiri diaspora, have not given up. They have continued their struggle to apprise the world about the violations and the tyranny and the sufferings that is taking place in Kashmir. We have about 1 million boots on the ground. Over 10 million people are caged. They are deprived of their very basic rights. And it was all done under the auspices of economical development, international investments, betterment for the people of Kashmir, winning the hearts and minds of the people, but that did not happen. And 2 years have gone by, situation have not changed. And the people who are from the region are of the opinion because the situation have gone worse. I am joined by a very distinguished guest, a very accomplished gentleman who is from Srinagar, keeps a close eye on the situation, writes articles in mainstream news journals, and frequently shows up on different channels to bring the situation that the Kashmir to the world. He is the former president of Kashmir American Council. Currently, he serves on the board World Kashmir Awareness, and he's a dean of microbiology department at George Washington University in Washington, D.C. Dr. Imtiaz Khan, welcome to the show, and thank you for giving us your time.
Thank you very much. Thanks for the invitation.
Certainly, I'm pretty sure that I have not done justice to your introduction, but if you want to add anything, please go. Feel free to add some of the accomplishment, because we want to let the world know that what the contribution of the Kashmiri diaspora is in the world and what's happening back home with them. Please go ahead.
Well, I'm professor of microbiology, immunology, and tropical medicine in George Washington University, and I have been in this field since last 32, 33 years. I'm very widely published. I have an NIH-funded laboratory at the university, and that is my profession. And as far as the Kashmir issue is concerned, I have been working actively since last, I think, in the year 2011, and that is my passion, because I feel the pain and suffering of my people, what they are going through. I visit Kashmir almost every year. I have not gone since last one because of obvious this pandemic, but it really breaks my heart, and apathy of the world community toward this monumental human tragedy is appalling and really disturbs my peace of mind. But we are committed to struggle, to let people know what India is doing, and we'll continue to do that. And we have faith in Allah that ultimately we will achieve our goal in spite of all the difficulties.
Well, appreciate your concern and efforts that you're making to apprising the world about the situation in Kashmir. Given the circumstances that we are in, what is the situation on ground right now? If you want to briefly tell us what has happened in the last 2 years in Kashmir.
Well, it has been, Kashmir has gone through long tragedy, killings since a long time, especially since 1990, when Indian government unleashed the reign of terror, and 130,000 people, youth aged between 15 to 30 years, have been massacred. About 11 to 15,000 women have been raped. There are 25,000 disappeared people. We don't know their whereabouts, and their spouses are called as half widows because they don't know they're alive or dead. We have mass graves, and only what was discovered is tip of iceberg by Indian origin professor from University of San Francisco, Dr. Angna Chatterjee. But when the Indian government got whiff of it, she was booted out of there and she's not allowed to enter back. And we have young kids who have received pellet bullets, those pellet, these guns are, pellet guns are used in this country for deer hunting. And they sprayed the bullets on the young children who was just standing on their windows of their houses. And about 800 young kids have been blinded. The hospitals have been attacked. And since last 2 years, situation, I wouldn't say bad to worse, it was already worse. And I'm lacking adjectives to paraphrase it. And what they did was, before they abrogated 370, they had these closed circuit TV, and they identified youth who were protesting, and all of them, they bundled up, and they are till now languishing in various jails of India, like in a very abysmal conditions. And there are about thousands of youth in Gorakhpur, in Agra, and other in very horrible conditions. And their parents don't have resources. First of all, they don't have information which jails they have been lodged to. There was one case, they went to Agra, then they told them they are in Kanpur or Lucknow or something like that. Then they were there. They don't have any whereabout. And then they don't have resources to travel. And basically, every other day, there are at least 5 to 6 youth killed. In earlier days, what used to happen, if they had information of a particular freedom fighter being in a house, they would kill him and blast the house. Nowadays, what they do, just as they blast the whole locality. And if they find any youth age 14 or 25 below, they just kill them at point blank range. They molest the women. And before blasting the houses, they make sure they take the valuables out of the houses. Kashmir is right now a concentration camp. It is just like what Bosnia was a decade ago, more, whenever it happened. Only difference is that they are not in open or in tents or behind barbed wire. They are in their houses, but every house has a bunker outside. And there are these gun-toting army men who need just an excuse to kill somebody. And they are doing that. And what they are doing, another thing they are doing, they are want to change the demographic character of the area. They are getting Hindus, fanatics from outside, giving them residencies, so that after 2-3 years, it becomes from a Muslim majority to minority state, so that in case they have to hold plebiscite, so the decision will be in their favor. That is what the situation is.
So I was going to actually allude to this demographic change. There are numbers, someone said that it's 400,000. Some of them saying about 4 million people have been brought in, 200,000. Obviously, the numbers varies, but over 200,000 houses are being built to bring non-Kashmiris, people from outside of Kashmir, to bring in to change the demography. And that is an act of illegal, which is against the Geneva Accord. My question is that why on earth the world is not paying heed to these gross human rights violations? Where do we lack? Where do we fail? The Kashmiri diaspora failed to apprise the world about these gross human rights violations. What happened there? Where did we go wrong?
We didn't go wrong, but Kashmiri diaspora has a lot of limitations. There are not huge number of people of Kashmiri origin living outside. There are. And they are against the Indian propaganda machinery. You must be aware that there have been these fictitious NGOs and propaganda, these channels and other things in about 65, or I may be wrong, a lot of them, who are spreading disinformation campaign against Pakistan and Kashmir. They are portraying it as a Pakistan-sponsored terrorist activities. And that's what they really believe, one of the Hitler's advisors used to say, that falsehood, if repeated several times, becomes truth. And they are following it in letter and spirit. And basically, none of people they are killing, they are locals, and they are labeling them as Pakistani-sponsored militants. So many times they say that there are about 200 Pakistani militants. They have fenced the borders. They have done everything they can. How come if there are 200 militants, according to their language, the lingo, why do you have 1.2 million military and paramilitary forces there? The world has been silent, yes, because of the business interests in India. India offers great business opportunity. And nowadays, for this country, it is a frontline state against China. So to counter China, they need India. And that's why they are letting India basically do whatever they want. United Nations, they are criminally negligent in basically ignoring the happenings in Kashmir. There was in 1947 when Pakistan was created and India was divided. Kashmir, being a Muslim majority state, should have been part of Pakistan. But it was not because of the malevolent attitude of Lord Mountbatten and Lord Radcliffe, where the district of Gurdaspur, a Muslim majority district, should have been gone to Pakistan. They gave it to India. They changed the maps without letting Qaid-e-Azam Muhammad Ali Jinnah know about it. And India got a corridor, and they militarily took over Kashmir, and they killed the Hindu Maharaja, basically recruited the Hindu fanatics in Jammu, about 250,000 Muslims were massacred there. And world has remained silent to that. Again, because India being a huge country, business interests, and the smear campaign which India has launched to basically distort the real scenario.
You have mentioned that the world has gone quiet because of treating this issue between India and Pakistan. So that there is a sentiment that because Kashmiris are divided, they are not on one page. So world at large does not know who to listen to, whether Kashmiris are up with Pakistan, or do they want independence, or do they have agreed to what Musharraf gave, a 4-point formula where some of the portion be divided and have access and whatnot. So I would like to ask you this, that India being an economical hub, Pakistan playing economical resistance, not being able to compete with India. So how come India will let the Kashmir have a state of Jammu and Kashmir? So what would be the alternative to that?
Well, now this is a test for United Nations. Does that mean the big powers have the license to kill and do whatever they want? If Iraq takes over Kuwait and all the power, they have to build up the coalition, and the country is liberated in the months, they destroy the infrastructure of Iraq and punish them heavily for that. India did the same thing. Kashmir was an independent country. If you look from 1947 to 53, Kashmir had an airport. Any Indian who wanted to enter had to get a custom clearance. They had their prime minister. They had their Sadr Riyasat, what is called as president. They had their own criminal code. They had their Supreme Court. And it was decided that there will be election held or a referendum held under the auspices of United Nations, where Kashmiris will be given a choice whether they want to go to Pakistan, they want to go to be part of India, or they want independence. This was promised to Jawaharlal Nehru, the first Prime Minister of India, to people of Kashmir in Lal Chowk. that the future of Kashmir will be decided by the Kashmiris. And what they did, they used these machinations and all the manipulations and extended Indian law, and then they say, now it is the integral part of India. Don't trust me. Look at what Pulitzer Prize winner that Anurati Roy says. Kashmir was never an integral part of India. It is the indifference, callousness of the world power, the United Nations, which has ceased to be a real effective body. It is more like a paper tiger with no teeth that allowed India to get away with whatever they are doing. It is not the culture. You said that Kashmiris are divided. What is the division about? The issue is that whether they want to be Pakistan or Pakistan India, that is on the agenda. That is what the referendum is for. So where is the division? Okay, if tomorrow hold the referendum, if majority of Kashmiris they want to be part of India, I will not like it. Sayyid Ali Shah Gilani will not like it. Yasin Malik will not like it. But that is the final decision. That is the will of the people. So I don't understand where the division lies. We are not Kashmiri divided. All the Kashmiris are speaking with one voice that this is a disputed territory and referendum needs to be held. And the decision of the majority, not the majority what will happen after 2, 3, 4 years when they would have brought in Hindus from the rest of India. I'm talking about pre-2019. On that basis, the referendum should be held. And it is India who is basically reneging on the promise and thumping at the nose of the world body, and the superpowers are allowing it. I don't see any division in people. Okay, there is opinion difference. Okay, but according to Chantam founder, there are various organizations. Some people say majority want independent Kashmir. Some people say some want Pakistan. But there is very not even a microscopic minority who wants to be part of Pakistan. Remember, when in Kashmir a freedom fighter is killed, his body is wrapped in the flag of Pakistan. They come on millions on the roadside. They said, "Hum kya chahte Pakistan." When Pakistani cricket team which wins the cricket match, they celebrate it on the streets of Srinagar in front of these gun-toting army people who are ready to kill them. They have spoken. Kashmiri people have spoken. So it is India who's not listening and just holding to Kashmir by brute military force. Kashmiri people are hostages to the army, which has no morals, the country, which has no character, and people who have no ethics.
So, what is the solution? Who would have this power to bring the plebiscite in Kashmir? UNO is not budging. United States have clearly said, if you look at the press conference on February 22nd of when the Joe Biden said that it's clearly a dispute between India and Pakistan, and we will stay outside of it and watch it happen, and they need to come and have a dialogue. They're not talking to each other. The Kashmiris who are suffering at the end of the day. So who will bring this plebiscite, and how long do Kashmiris have to wait? The plebiscite will take place, and then the decision will be made whether to be with the Pakistan or stay independent and what to do thereafter. But the first step is that have that plebiscite to take place. Who will administer that? Who will do that? My question is that why would anybody outside, because it's nobody's interest, why would anybody come and do the plebiscite for Kashmiris?
Well, first of all, let me tell you, the bilateralism between India and Pakistan has never worked. We have seen negotiations going on between when even Zulfikar Ali Bhutto was the foreign minister of Pakistan and Soren Singh was the foreign minister of India. We were small kids in the 60s, and they were telling, my dad used to tell me, I used to hear my dad say that. But nothing came. Negotiations since last 70 years. Because reason being, India is not serious. India is making fool of Pakistan. It is hoodwinking them. It is taking them for the right. They have no intentions of solving this problem. As simple as that. Now, question is, coming to your question, why would somebody do? What interest they have in Kashmir? They would hold them. Okay. The question is, no government of Pakistan will basically afford to say that they have washed their hands of Kashmir. That will not be acceptable to people of Pakistan. No government will survive. Now, both of these countries are armed till teeth. They are nuclear powers. Any kind of border skirmishes can snowball into a nuclear holocaust. Now you have China on the other side, now emerging superpower or rather emerged superpower. And according to law, there have been a lot of studies done by NGOs and different organizations. They say that if, God forbid, there is a nuclear exchange between India and Pakistan, which can happen anytime. If these kind of misunderstandings, other things, not being incommunicado to each other happens, it will not, the India and Pakistan will be destroyed. It will affect 2.5 billion people and other environment, people bearing, kids born with deformities, no agriculture for 50 years. These, you can imagine people, Hiroshima and Nagasaki, and those bombs were even, I think, 100 times less potent than what they have. How many after effects are still there? So if that doesn't draw the interest of the world, what will draw? What can be more important than that? You are having three nuclear powers in the region who are on each other's throat. Now, last year there was a skirmish between India and China. This Ladakh being declared as a unitary is not acceptable to China. China has territorial claims on that. Pakistan is not going to give up. Every day you see border clashes taking place, and any kind of incident on either side of the border can conflagrate into major warfare, and then you have a chance of they hitting each other with the nuking each other out. You tell me any part of the world where you have situation of that utter sensitivity as compared to this region. If any world leader doesn't recognize that, with due respect to them, it is their lack of understanding or ignorance.
There is a sentiment that the Article 370, when it was abrogated, it was there was a consent between India and Pakistan that India will abrogate 370, and on Pakistani side they will make, even the rumors are taking place right now, that they will make Azad Kashmir as part of the provisional province of Pakistan. So is the Gilgit-Baltistan. So if Pakistan can, give a status of provisional province in Azad Kashmir and Gilgit-Baltistan, so does the India on their side, whatever they administer it. So that was an understanding. That's why Pakistan didn't react when August 5th of 2019 happened. Kashmiris on ground were waiting that the Pakistani forces will come and rescue them. That didn't happen. What do you have to say on that?
Well, obviously, they wouldn't start a war or something like that. They they approach United Nations, and that's what Pakistan has been doing. And how long can they? Not that I, as a Kashmiri, am totally satisfied the way Pakistan is handling the situation. I feel Kashmiri people have a lot of expectations from Pakistan. We expect Pakistan to do much more. I can speak at length on that, but that will be deviating from the subject. This thing being said, that Pakistan will declare Gilgit and Balochistan as a part of Pakistan, and India will do that. This is a rumor. This is a smear campaign spreaded by India. That's what India does. That's what India does. That's what all this machinery is for. I have a statement by no less a person than Foreign Minister of Pakistan, Shah Mahmood Qureshi. And I was a part of that delegation, and we confronted them directly about the parlays when there are backdoor channel going on and this and that. And we questioned him directly, and he assured in the most unequivocal terms that there's nothing like that. We will not be party to anything which is not acceptable to people, leadership, genuine leadership. I'm talking of Kashmiris. Yes, we are in touch with India, but that is about border issues and there are sensitive points, and that has nothing to do with Kashmir. And we have a statement, and he conveyed the message from Prime Minister Imran Khan. And
let me interject, Professor, for 1 second. I was watching a show with a prominent anchor person in Pakistan with the current law minister of Pakistan. And I was just watching this morning, in which he has been working on finding the delicacies, keeping the international law, UNO, and the Constitution of Pakistan in line. They are working towards, and it was on the program that was hosted by, I'm forgetting the name of the anchor person. If it comes to my mind, I will interject and let you know. The work is being, the Constitution is being stipulated in a way that Gilgit-Baltistan would be given a provisional province status, because that was the demand came from the Gilgit-Baltistan. So we cannot 100% rule it out, but obviously there is a mechanism to this entire rumors that, probably trying to test the pulse of the people. What I'm saying is, as Kashmiri, as a board member of one of the mainstream organization, would that be acceptable to Kashmiris if Pakistan were to take similar action? It's not going to be 100% what 370 is, but something similar to that.
Well, I think it will be distasteful to a certain extent, but you have to take into consideration, this is the demand of people of Baltistan and Gilgit, because they want to reap the benefits of being the province of Pakistan. Kashmiri people didn't tell them.
Well, what I'm trying to understand is that if that demand does come through from certain people, would that not be considered as Kashmir being divided? That's what my question is.
Yeah, but ultimately what we would be, as a Kashmiri, I would like when the referendum is held, they should be part of it. They should be part of, if they have a provisional status, that's still okay. They should not, to me, if you ask me, and it is my own individual opinion, they should not be, that should not be permanent status of that. It should be provisional status. And that there should be a provision, if tomorrow when referendum is held, they should be included in that referendum. I think then it is okay. Now you look at it, this 370 you are talking about, one day before this thing, that was on 4th of August, their hand-picked politician, Farooq Abdullah, goes to Narendra Modi and tells them if it is going, and Narendra Modi tells him correctly, there is nothing, there are no such agenda. India is distrustful, dishonest, and I don't have the adjective to describe them further. Basically, what they did here, you have a situation where people of Gilgit and Baltistan are demanding, are beseeching Pakistani authorities that we want to be part of you, because they want to have additional benefits of being a province of Pakistan. We are objecting to it. We have raised these objections to the right authorities that this should not be done. This will create a very unpleasant precedent. And they have told us they are not going to, I don't know, they are not going to do it. That's not on their agenda, but you have the information, probably yes. But even if they are given provisional, they should be included in the referendum. And at least in this part, it is the will of the people which is being respected. While in Kashmir, this was done, Indian occupied Kashmir, at the point of the gun.
Well, obviously,
all the people were held hostages. And they still are.
Yeah, well, obviously, we cannot equate the situation similar. India is much worse than that. But Professor, thank you so very much for being on the show. It was an absolute delight and pleasure to have you. Such an insightful information. Hopefully, we'll have you back on the show again. Thank you and have a good day.
Thank you very much for the invitation, and my pleasure.